guys, I'm up here at the Reading Pagoda with some construction updates for you all. My glutes, man. It's a good workout.
Of course, the most important part of this project is the scaffolding. So we have a full 360 scaffold all the way up to the chimney. And what this does is it allows us to safely access the facility, but also serves as our jumping off point for doing all of the lighting replacements. So if you look out here, you see the plywood decking coming all the way to the building. That's so the contractors can actually lay down and access the lighting trays. On this level, you can see that all the windows were basically removed. All those windows are out for the scaffolding, but they're also out because all of the existing windows need to be resealed and caulked and reestablished in their frames. Also on this level, and you're going to see it throughout the facility, all of the trims, the paints, the flooring, the ceilings, everything is receiving attention. So there's not a surface throughout the structure that won't have a fresh coat of appearance to it. Whether it's redoing flooring, whether it's repainting or repairing plaster damages. But the entire facility will receive those same touches, floor to ceiling. And we're switching these out for LEDs too, right?
Yeah, I think they're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like this natural color as opposed to the dark medium, but it makes it feel bigger. It does. Trust me, I'll search for words and probably go down. So here on the museum level, you can see clearly, this is where one of our heating units is being replaced. So you can see we're paying attention to the flooring and everything else underneath that as well. So there'll be revised surfaces before we replace that unit itself. Again, we've got scaffolding and the penetrations through the walls that we're trying to protect the structure as we're doing that work. On this level, you can see the museum is going to pretty much stay the way it's always been. So the artifacts will continue to be displayed in here after we do the renovation. Here's another example of a heater that's being replaced and floors being remediated. And level 5, like all other levels, again, will receive all new sprinkler penetrations. So here's a good example of that. So the dry head sprinklers that go through the wall to the exterior of the facility are all being replaced throughout the facility as part of an extension of a contract. So I will leave it as, while Ben's opinion is this is finished, we still have to do a punch list with the engineer. So if you do happen to see something that's not fully renovated, like you can see the backside of this door is not fully painted and renovated, there's going to be some items that you will see that will say they're done, but they're not fully done. Right. We also have full flooring in here that needs to be done. Now, formerly, these spaces on the 4th floor were completely filled with artifacts and materials for advertising and everything else. When we complete the construction as the city, our intention is to leave them open. And then as the foundation comes in, it would be really neat for them to either, as they go into the operation, either to turn them into a historic looking hotel room, or it could be a model train room, it could be any kind of things. But we would really like these to maintain a publicly accessible area instead of being just kind of storage and off limits.
We agree.
Yeah. So we can see, like this room, we've got all the painting done, but the flooring hasn't yet been completed. And of course, there's some spots like where the scaffolding and things come through the wall that'll have to be touched up and finished once we're done.
What is the flooring going to be?
I believe we're going back to carpet.
Okay.
But it'll be a homogeneous color throughout.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Ben, we are carpeting these, right?
Yes.
We are maintaining the historic appearance of the fixtures, and we'll see down on 3 there is an off-limits area where there was some leaking.
Okay.
So we have it closed for mold remediation.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you remember this door, you couldn't even access before.
Mm-hmm. So much stuff.
Can't turn the light switch on, there's no light there.
Nope. No, there's not.
Here we go.
So the 3rd floor is very much like the 4th floor, but the exception that the 3rd floor has a restroom. Now we are maintaining these restrooms, but we are doing some slight modifications to increase ADA accessibility. So both bathrooms will be renovated slightly to be able to make sure that, you know, if someone does get to this level that has needs, that we're fully facilitating them. One of those changes is that the mop sink used to be in this bathroom, and the mop sink is now getting its own independent room. So that will increase the accessibility. We've got a lot of paint done on the 3rd floor. 3rd floor? I have to remember where I am. We have a lot of paint done on 3rd floor, but again, there's areas that will be finished and touched up. Hey, we're actually open down here.
Yep.
So one of the issues that we discovered through the construction was when we had to open up the ceiling, we found a significant amount of mold. So working with our public works department, we pulled down the ceiling, identified the extent of where the mold goes, and then hired in a company to remediate that mold. So up until last week, this room was actually closed and off limits until we had a count that was acceptable. So now we'll be ready to remediate this. Again, on the 3rd floor, we're going to be leaving it to the foundation as operators of the facility to try to engage and activate these rooms. Actually, I think I've seen a smaller hotel room in this room in New York City.
First apartment I've ever met.
On 146th Street, we stayed in or stayed in that hotel room. Two beds barely fit side by side.
This is like as big as like a cruise ship cruise.
So the mold remediation on 3 was something that was kind of unique and special. I lost Alexa.
Sorry. I'm back.
So the mold remediation on 3 was something that was unique and special and a little out of scope. And where we're going out on 2 is also something that is out of scope and is a special attention. So you can see up on the upper floors, the stairs were already sanded and ready. These obviously are not quite. So, out on 2 is the first accessible balcony on our way down. And on 2, unfortunately last week we came into this on Monday morning. So what happened here is the lighting tracks are mounted to the soffit boards. The soffit boards are mounted to the actual structure. And just out of a matter of convenience, during this construction project, this section of lighting cut loose.
Ooh.
We have no knowledge of anyone actually physically damaging it. You can see in some areas it is pretty loose. So not only do we have to fix this section and remount it as part of a change in the process, but we're also going to analyze where all of the tracks are mounted to the soffit to make sure that they are secure for the future. Obviously, the original rendition of the building did not have these heavy metal tracks. So this soffit board was not designed to hold metal tracks And when all we did was screw these metals into the soffit is only holding on by nails.
Oh my
So literally, they pulled out.
That's holding that up there?
Yep, so all of these little pin nails are the original nails,
Yeah.
and then these are the screws where they actually screwed in. And unless you knew exactly where the support board was to hit it with a screw, there is no significant bonding between the soffit board and this truss,
Wow.
or rafter rather. So you'll also see that we have our little pull penetrations. So these are pull wires that's set to bring the new electrical out from the inside of the building and run the new LEDs in the tracks. On the exterior of the building, let me see if I can find an example. We've essentially removed the anti-graffiti coating so far. A new coating will go on. But there is also a process where we'll be repointing some of the stone and making sure we're cleaning up the stone before we put the anti-graffiti coating back on.
Cool.
I didn't happen to see a point here that needed to be repointed to point it out.
Over here, Dave.
You got one over there? Yeah. So here's an example of a spot where the repointing and the repair to the block needs to happen prior to us doing that graffiti coating over the top. From the outside, we can also see that we're redoing and cleaning windows, and we'll be repainting, resealing all the windowsills. And here's an example of where the penetration of that dry head sprinkler system comes through the wall that we're also replacing and retrofitting. So on this wall alone, there's 3 of those dry heads that are being replaced. I want to say there's 56 throughout the entire building that are being replaced.
Wow.
So we can take a walk around this side. Much of the same, anti-graffiti coating. Once we get done with all of the surfaces, then this will also be all pressure washed and cleaned, and the soffit will be all painted. We will be keeping the historic, like baby blue ledges. We'll be keeping this is a white, we'll be keeping that. One of the subjects that we're currently discussing is there was a plexiglass cover that goes on this. And now knowing that we have a little bit of a thought process that this is not mounted 100% securely, we may think about eliminating that plexiglass cover. It was originally designed and intended during this renovation to protect people from putting their hands on the open electrical in these trays. The new lighting system does not have open electrical. So we're currently thinking of the process of reducing the wind load, which could potentially pull on those soffit boards in an effort to try to decrease some of the weight and some of the torque that are on those trays. Other than that, out here again, like I said, all new graffiti coatings will happen, all new pressure washing, all new painting, all new surfaces will be attended to. Situations like this where we had individuals carving, this will all be sanded down, will be puttied, and will be painted back to its original red color. One of our unique features right now, because of our scaffolding, is we have a wind monitoring station here. So again, going out to the safety of the contractors that are working, we're at 25. 25 is our maximum wind load for individuals to be on the scaffolding. In the event that this does reach a 25 mile per hour wind speed, contractors are notified and must get down off the building. Because of our unique location right here on the point of the mountain, how many times have this happened so far? Yeah, 3 or 4 times so far?
Yeah.
Right. But as we grow through and we get these summer and spring storms, we're hoping not to see too many times. But it is a significant factor that we make sure that we're paying attention to the safety of the contractors on the scaffolding. Another small change that happened throughout this construction, and it's already been done, unfortunately between the bidding and before the contractors actually got here, That particular wind also broke this window. So we did do a small change order for around $4,000 to replace this window back to its historical accuracy. So back inside on the second floor, much of the same that's happening throughout the building is happening in this floor as well. There are a few noted changes. On the second floor is the auxiliary kitchen. We will be maintaining a sink there, but we will not be replacing the refrigerator there at this point in time. The original globes that hung from the ceiling here, adding to the Asian ambiance, will be remounted, but they'll be remounted in special consideration against where the sprinklers operate. So previously they were kind of everywhere in here and they were blocking the functionality of the sprinklers in the event of a fire. So special attention will be placed on where those get replaced in the future.
Is this track light staying or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, track light on 1 and 2 is staying. But you can see, and this is the subject of another small change, that just prior to construction, we had a small fire in the track light. So we will be replacing the track on this floor, but because the track is relatively unavailable, we'll be maintaining pieces from this track when we replace it in its entirety to help have spare parts for the other track.
Gotcha.
Again, on this floor, paint, flooring, you can see that there are markings. You'll see these pieces of tape. These are floor tiles that are designated to be replaced. So those will all be removed. We're working with a tile manufacturer out of New Mexico.
Yes.
Out of New Mexico that's going to be providing those handmade tiles. These ones here are of particular concern because they're a little more difficult to obtain than just the standard yellows and reds. Again, this kitchen will be maintained. We're just not putting a refrigerator back for right now. And then we're down to 1. So as I mentioned upstairs, the track lighting from 2 will be dismantled and spare parts will be left for the first floor, and second floor will be getting new apparatus. This floor will also getting all new paint, all new flooring. You can see that there's a significant amount more tiles because this is a more high traffic area that all the floor tiles increase in replacement down here. We will be maintaining our greeting counter. The old snack area is removed and the kitchen is completely removed. We will be providing a hand washing sink, a stainless steel sink, and some stainless steel counters, but we won't be providing any food production facilities. There won't be a stove or microwaves or things of that nature. Are these the old lights that came down?
Yes.
The new ones are more of a rope light though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are those old lights that we talked about being in the trays, and you can see how they have a lot of open electrical and wiring. The new lights are more of a rope style light that you would see, but is a safe plastic coated, you can touch it, things like that. So the kitchen, again, much of the same, cleaning, restoring, bringing back to life. As you can see from the floor, being in a food production area was pretty detrimental. So what we're planning for is to support more of the catering aspect than actual food production. We would love to see the foundation source a lot of those local food products, Reading premium soda, Sweet Street desserts, things like that are one-offs in production that they could bring up here and market to the public and really showcase Reading's abilities.
Cool.
I know I'm probably putting a lot of words in your mouth.
We're going down.
So the biggest changes are actually occurring right now in the basement level.
Whoa. Yeah, that's different.
So formerly there was actually a bathroom that you could enter here that was a single stall toilet. And then here there was an adjacent door where you would enter into the men's restroom. In order for us to comply with the current ADA standards, unfortunately we needed to open up this space, which means we lost the internal restroom to provide for the external public restroom. There will be an access door that maintains into the basement for staff to be able to access this floor restroom, but predominantly we're focused on access from the outside. The doors in here, again, are being prepared that they are accessible from this level into the facility with a key and panic bar out. That way, if the foundation works with some organization like the Pagoda Hill Climb and they open the restrooms, they don't have to open the entire facility, you can just open the bathrooms. Again, out here, the gates will be remounted in a different location to provide the access that we need for ADA accessibility. The doors will also be changed out. We'll do one quick lap around the basement here. So, in the heart of our facility, we have currently already removed the oil-fired boiler, and the propane-fired boiler is in place and ready to start up soon. We've also replaced the water heating system for the facility. This again will be maintained as a utility room for the facility, and hopefully we'll get it all cleaned down and have it full of miscellaneous things as we move forward. The ladies' room on this side, again, major changes to comply with ADA. And then over on this section where we previously had some storage, we're placing a mop sink. Again, removing it from the areas where it was before and providing areas to make sure we continue to maintain it in the future. Okay, now we'll go outside and we'll look at the outside of the basement. All right. Good places I need to talk about it. So the first thing we have in this area to call out is the fact that this concrete pad is moved. This allows us for the installation of our new propane line for firing our new propane boiler that's inside. So we are placing a propane tank out here in the yard that will feed that facility. One of the largest focus is that oil has increasingly become unacceptable to use, and propane is a cleaner, more efficient energy source. So in order to try to make the Pagoda a more cleaning, operating, less expensive facility, we went with a high efficiency propane. In this area, you'll also start to see where we have these little putty marks. So recently we discovered during our construction process that the walls on the foundation and on the first floor had significant voids to a point where you could fit a ruler up to 36 inches deep into the wall with no resistance. And what that means is there's nothing there holding it up. So in the event that we're spending millions of dollars for the renovation of a structure, we want to make sure that we're fully paying attention to these types of items and that the structure will hold the entire 6-story building. The process, what they do here is in a 2-foot lift, essentially 2 feet between these two locations, they drill 2 holes. What they do then, the first process is they flush water into that hole and flush out all of the loose dirt and debris. Then they turn around and they start to fill it with a flowable grout material, which acts as a cement or a glue between all of the stones. And it takes what this may be a hollow rock wall in some spaces, and it makes it a solid wall again. Okay. Throughout our process, and you can see a lot of the voids here, you can see how much was actually removed and attended to. This is one of those areas where we would be repointing it. During our process, we also want to make sure that we're paying attention to that historical accuracy of the building. So we can also see in this area where we have mocked up multiple different renditions of our pointing. So this goes then back to the architect, and he looks at it and he goes, okay, this gray sand is most representative of the historically accurate, or you can see that there's a little different relief. So this one's very pointed, this one's a little rounded. So those tiles of pointing are also being paid attention to. Actually, I want to go back this way. Sorry, I'm doubling back on myself because I forgot something I want to talk about too. If we can see it. In this corner of the pagoda is one of our most structural concerns when it comes to the concrete, and we might be able to look at it a little bit better upstairs. But you can see that this beam here and this beam here essentially ties the above floor to the structure of the wall. On the first floor, that beam is degraded and needs to be replaced. I guess we're considering this the first floor. The second floor beam across, you'll see, is degraded. The first floor beam here is degraded. So we are replacing those as well as part of this construction. All of these existing stainless steel light fixtures are staying, but are being retrofitted with LED innards. So keeping the historical provenance of the structure itself, but upgrading its guts. Sorry. And yes, I know the lights weren't historically here in 1911, but
No.
it is an existing function of the building. We're working over here on the list? Yep.
I don't know. She's not taking it. Yeah. We'll go down this way.
So what they've done here is a process where they injected the grout until resistance, and then they plug the hole to make sure everything stays inside the wall. Once that flowable grout matures, ages, dries, it becomes solid rock. We'll go back this way and stay out of their way.
Oh my.
So a lot of these places, it was just, I mean, there's nothing there.
Nothing.
Which might not be too bad if it's a small stone, but if you end up getting to these larger keystones in the
Right.
process, and if
Okay.
there's nothing physically holding them, then we've got a major structural problem.
That's right.
back on one. We'll take a peek at that railing. So one of the things is very evident is concrete is not a forever material. And we can see in sections like this how the concrete has been patched and broken away over time. Mother Nature's wind and weather and ice have not been very nice to concrete. And every time water gets in one of those cracks and then it freezes, it expands and it pops that concrete apart. So we're going to be patching all of those little holes and fixing everything up. And then this is the one ledge that needs to be replaced up there. You can see how the rebar is exposed in there. Again, Mother Nature, time, adverse environment up here have not been very friendly to concrete. This whole section here is replaced, right? This baluster, top and bottom rail?
Yes.
Right. So there are some situations where the entirety will be replaced, but there are some situations where just the balusters will be replaced because they're degraded. So we're trying to do as much as we can without overly doing it. If it can be cleaned and restored, we're going to go that route, but if it needs to be replaced because it's cracked, broken, degraded, then it is going to be replaced. Up on 2, we saw that the graffiti coating was gone. Down here, you can see that it's still here. And what it appears as is almost like a glazing on the stone. So it's not originally like that, but again, Mother Nature has had her way, and when she whips through here with the wind, it actually creates that glazed effect on the anti-graffiti coating. It's like sandblasting it.
Yeah, it's a lot of wind.
Hopefully with the new coating we won't get some of those effects, but we are kind of anticipating that it's going to happen the same way it did before. It still works, it's still effective, it just looks like we have shiny rocks. So right now we're not going to be doing parking lot or the retaining walls. It is solely
Right.
foundation to the fish on the top.
Yeah, my understanding was the retaining walls is kind of like a phase 2.
Correct. So ideally, what I understand is they would like to use the facility being open as an anchor to generate funds to get to the wall project. During that wall project, we'll also see that these fences are going to flip with their utilization. Right now, these construction fences on the outside are actually keeping people away from the pagoda. When we flip over and we start doing the wall construction, they'll actually be keeping people in the pagoda. So they were specifically placed with that intention in mind that we can use them through the duration of both projects.
Okay, so these will be up for a while.
Yes, we anticipate at least until the construction on the walls is completed that these would be up. You can see our new camera system is here. It is up and functioning. It is one of 4 cameras on this parking lot.
Good.